Hello, sweet friend. My name is Maike, and in this video, I'll be sharing with you all of my journals for 2026, well, and one planner. And then off to the side, I have a stack of notebooks that are going to be honorable mentions. Those are not journals per se, but I think it might still be fun to talk about them here. So yeah, let's get started. First, let's take a look at my memory keepers for 2026, and I'm a little bit surprised to have ended up with 3, but I'm excited. So this first one here is a Passport TN in the weekly format, and throughout 2025, I played around with a weekly format in different sizes and different layouts, and this one was the one that sort of stuck around by the end of the year, and so I picked it up for 2026. And the way I use this is to just keep highlights of the day in this weekly format and then just have fun decorating this. And some of this information will also be in my other memory keepers, but I don't mind that because it's more about the weekly layout than it is about capturing unique details. There's just something about seeing my week in this way that is really satisfying to me, and I think it's going to be fun to be able to flip through the year in this format as well. I've also found that I use different stickers because everything is so small, and I like that you can really take in some of the smaller stickers this way. It doesn't get lost in a bigger spread. So yeah, it's just a fun, rewarding thing that I like to do, and so that is gonna be something to look forward to throughout the year. Then we have the Midori One Day One Page in the A6, and I've been eyeing this notebook for years now, and for some reason always talk myself out of buying this. And this year I told myself, no, you know what, you've been curious for so long, we're gonna do this in 2026, and I'm so glad I did. So I already started in the monthly section, and these calendars are so nice. They give you so much white space around the calendar that you can have some fun decorating. And so in here I also just keep some high-level dates or information about the month, which again might be useful later on to get a grasp on what happened in the month. And then on the side I keep a list of the books I've read that month, which I think is going to be nice, and so far it's going well. It's only the beginning of the second month in here, so maybe a little too early to tell, but yeah, so far it's been fun to figure out the stickers that I would want to put on here. And then we do have one daily page to look at. Woohoo! Yesterday was the first, so I already put that in. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how my decorating in here is going to evolve. I always find that there's a little bit of a warm-up phase to any new journal or any new layout, and how you use it and how you break up the page. So yeah, but so far, so good, and it's gonna be nice to be back in an A6 again. I used to do the Hobonichi in the A6, and that I think has been my most consistent journaling that I've ever done on a day-to-day basis. And then with this one, I just like the layout better, and I can skip dates easily if things get a little too busy and crazy or nothing in particular happens. So yeah, that's gonna be good. And it's probably gonna be a mixture of photos, stickers, maybe some drawing, all that good stuff. So really excited about that one. And then this I am super excited about. I think this is so cute. This is the Point of View Diary Duo, I think is the official full name. And this I came across on the Pinky Elephant on their store and was immediately smitten by the design. And the way I use this is as an illustrated journal. So in the monthly calendars, which they luckily already gave us the December one, so I could fill that out. I decided to create, again, a monthly overview, but drawing based. And as you can see, that it's different. I'm highlighting different things. So for example, here it's a lot of if we went out for food that was fun, or here we got the flu vaccine, my husband's birthday was that day, those kinds of things. And this is more, well, it is visual, right? It's drawing based. And so I drew a inflatable decoration that I saw I think that was in a McDonald's of all things, of the Santa riding on a dinosaur, which is so ridiculous. And then I got a new pen case, this one right here from the company and Liebe, and oh, this is so gorgeous, but that is a topic for another day maybe. I released a new PET tape in collaboration with Hiba and those kinds of things. So it's just really fun to draw this out and see the month in this way. This is inspired also by Nina from Draws. Is that her name on YouTube? I'll have her linked below. But yeah, she's been doing really cool illustrated monthly calendars in her Hobonichi weeks. So yeah. And then the daily portion of this diary is these these daily horizontal frames. And I'm using that to draw just a scene from my day. And I have been, well, actually set the plant on the notebook. If you are new around here, I have shown this before, but I actually played around with this format before deciding to buy this journal. And I've just found this to be very soothing to do. It's also a nice exercise to, think about the moments of the day and how you could capture them in a small drawing. And it helps me, with panel layouts and draw more environments and people in environments. And I try not to be too fussy with it and try not to be too perfectionistic about it. But yeah, it's gonna be nice. And this paper is absolutely wonderful. They didn't specify what kind of paper they're using, but it is fountain pen friendly. It also goes well with markers and with watercolor. So it's just really nice. And I know that illustrated journaling for me is very, I always call it potent, because there's something about me sitting down to draw something about my day that really is able to freeze the memory. So I find that very rewarding and can't wait to have my whole year in this cute little booklet. So yeah, again, some information might show up in all three of these. Oops, there's the stickers coming out. But I also think that there is something to be said about different layouts and different modes of journaling that might help you access different details of your day and capture different details of your day. And so you get a more holistic, more dimensional view of your life by way of journaling in different formats. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for my memory keepers. And then I wanted to have some journals that are more about introspection and thoughts. So not the day-to-day, what's happening in a day, but more of like, what are you thinking about? What are you researching? Working on journal prompts, perhaps, those kinds of things. And there, something interesting happened. So I was thinking I'm gonna stay with my TN setup. And in here, I currently have 3 inserts. One is just a more general creative journaling inserts, and I haven't filled some of these in actually, which is, we'll get to that. But yeah, so for example, here I made a list of all the books that I read in 2025, and there's actually one more that's missing. But yeah, stuff like this. This is just harder to do, especially because I opted for the smaller A6 size. But this is the kind of stuff that I wanted to have a space for. Lists, copying texts, those kinds of things. So there's this insert, and then if you've been around for a while, you've seen this setup. Then I also have an insert which I call my comfort book, or my book of comforts. And in here I just do all kinds of different things. So here, for example, I did a illustrated list of winter glimmers, like things that make winter less gray. But here, for example, I was working on a journal prompt by the wonderful Erin Ware from her Patreon. And here I did a spread on personal style and the kind of clothing that bring me comfort and that makes me feel like myself. You know, those kinds of things. And then the last insert in here is what I call my artist book. That is just things that inspire me as an artist, as an illustrator, the colors that I like, but I also wrote some thoughts on anthropomorphism and what I think is the reason why we like art, where, you know, you have these humanized animals, and did a little bit of research on how that has changed over time, which was very fascinating. You know, those kinds of things. So very much about my life as an artist. And I gotta say that even though I like both of these insert, the comfort and the artist insert, I rarely work in these, and that might just be a priority thing that I need to work out on, or where I just need to set myself reminders to open these up every now and again. But I do think there's also something that I've noticed about myself where things, journals in covers, tend to become a little bit invisible to me. And please let me know if you've made similar experiences. I think this is kind of fascinating. But there's something about having journals just be the notebook and have it laying around that I'm far more likely to just grab it on a whim and just start a spread. And so here's, for example, what has happened with these. I was very intent on finishing up, for example, this insert as my creative journal. However, I had bought this MD notebook and I was meant to have this as my scribbly notes journal, sort of my everything book where I just work out ideas, write down YouTube video ideas, or just random thoughts, test out pens when they come in, those kinds of things. But then I kind of turned this into a journal and I'm really enjoying it so far. So for example, here's a wish list for 2026 of things that I'm hoping, like experiences that I'm hoping to have. I wrote about my word of the year and how I came to my word of the year. I created a list of books that I'm interested in, and though this is not a full list of the things that I'm going to read this year, I always like to have at least a little idea of what the next couple books could be. And then, yeah, wrote out my journal lineup that I'm talking to you about right now. And I'm enjoying this so much, and quite frankly, for just a scribble notebook, this is way too fancy now. And of course, I could change and ease up a little bit on the decoration, but I'm enjoying it so much that I'm thinking that I should let this be what it wants to be. And while I was waiting for this one, because my previous scribble notebook was already filled up, I grabbed this B6 Slim Light notebook from my stash, and I had been doing what I always do with my scribble notebooks, and that is scribble in it. So here I also wrote out my journal lineup, but I also did some sketching for Cat Collage Club, trying out new inks, in different pens and see how that works. Yeah, YouTube notes, more sketches, those kinds of things. This is what typically my scribble notebook looks like. And I think the B6slim is actually a really nice size for that because it's not overwhelming. And typically my kinds of scribbles are relatively short, like these lists right here. And so I am wondering if this is actually what I want to do. So get a bigger B6slim notebook. This typically sits on my desks, and then I can just open it up and do whatever with it. I had great success with that this year, or in last year. We're in January now. In 2025, I did this in this Midori Codex. The back was mostly sketches, and then in the front I kept anything that was a list or written notes. And I filled this whole chunker up, which is very satisfying to hold. But this year I separated it and got two, and these are A5 Midori notebooks, but I have them cut down to A5slim, which is ever since starting this thing right here has been a favorite size of mine. There's just something about it. So yeah, I think then this might be replacing my TN setup, and I will just wait and see. I mean, this is not going anywhere, so I think I'm just gonna set it aside, run with this, because apparently there's something about this where I'm feeling very inspired to work in this, and so I want to see where that goes and then make a decision about my TN setup. So then this is going to be my creative journal where I just, keep lists, work on journal prompts, work out creative craft ideas, those kinds of things, and then have a B6slim as my scribble notebook that can capture everything and anything. So that's this then. And since I pulled this out already, this is just a blank Midori in A5slim. This is going to be my scribbly sketchbook, which is the the other half of what this notebook was. So that's going to be really fun. Also, A5slim Midori notebook is going to be my ink journal, and I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. These are my honorable mention notebooks that I had alluded to. These are related to the journals, but they're not journals per se, I guess. So this is going to be my ink journal, and I had started this in 2025 in a regular A5 and just decided that I didn't like it. I wasn't really gelling with the notebook. So this is the same notebook. I just ripped out the front pages, had it cut down, and I'm so glad that I did that because I'm already loving it so much more. And so here I am swatching out my ink samples. I am, just doing bigger spreads about some of the inks that I'm trying to look back on with some writing and the swatches and a little drawing. This is Yuki Usagi by Sailor. Such a wonderful ink. So yeah, you're probably going to see lots more of this journal in this year. I'm gonna do lots of swatching in here and comparing inks and those kinds of things. So yeah, this is gonna be really, really fun. And then I decided to make my Paper Republic journal a notebook that I keep in my purse, and that is partially inspired by my point of view journal. There's something very interesting that happens when you draw a scene from your day, and that is that in environments that you're often in, you think you know what that looks like. For example, we have a favorite coffee shop, and then I sat down to draw parts of the coffee shop, and all of a sudden I realized that I don't actually know what is in that one corner over there. And I'm okay with making some of this stuff up and just getting it somewhat right. But I do think it's going to be really nice to carry around a sketchbook again to make observational sketches, something that I have not done in recent years very much. And so that's just going to help me with those daily drawings, and it's also just going to be a nice practice to do. So yeah, I just have a Midori notebook in here that I cut down to size. And then I think, yeah, I also put in a small Paper Republic notebook for just keeping quick notes while I'm out and about. And then I put in this passport plastic zipper case in here, just in case that comes in handy for receipts and things like that. So yeah, that's just gonna live in my purse, and pretty stoked about that. And then we have this one last notebook right here, and oh, I love this cover so much still. This is from Hobonichi from last year, or you know what I mean, not this most recent drop. And in here, I've mentioned this previously before as well, because this has been with me for over a year now, is my storytelling commonplace book, or my storytelling research book. And in here, I just keep notes on writing stories, on story structure and how to do that, or whenever I come across really interesting essays on storytelling. So for example, this one was about Frog and Toad. This one was about Ghibli and how they make the everyday feel so magical in their stories, diversity in storytelling, you know, those kinds of things. And then I think I also started doing some book reviews. Still need to print out that picture, I guess. And I had this previously in a TN, and so this is what these pages are. I'm still in the process of putting all that information in here. So that's what this is like. And then in the back, I actually set up a quote-unquote real commonplace section, which is to say that I picked out a couple of broad topics that I'm interested in and made these sections, and so I can keep quotes in here that are relating to these topics. Yeah, I think, did that make sense? I'm not sure, but yeah, this is very beloved, and I love that it is so cozy in this fabric cover. And I often pull this out, especially my notes on story structure. I often have that just sitting up as a reference while I'm working on my own stories. So yeah, and maybe we can talk about that some more this year. I also now realize I forgot one sketchbook. So I usually have two sketchbooks, one that is for just scribbly, figuring out ideas and working out really roughly certain things. And then I also have a Midori Thick notebook with the thicker paper, where I'm trying to be a little bit more nice, where I'm actually trying to do somewhat finished artwork, because I think it's really important to also practice actually finishing things. And I know that with social media and on YouTube, sometimes our perception of what a sketchbook should look like is a little skewed towards being Instagrammable, but I do think that there is a healthy approach to having more scribbly sketchbooks and more nicer sketchbooks. But yeah, that is that. So those are my honorable mentions. Most of it is related to art and inky messes and sketching and storytelling. But overall, I am very excited what these notebooks are going to bring, and it feels very like a nice balance, very creative, just the things that I love. And I feel like this is the first time in a while where I feel very settled already with these books, and that is hopefully a good sign that I picked out some things that are gonna work really well for me. But then my planner for this year is from Faded Chronicle. It's the one that is in the TN regular size, and it's a all-in-one planner. And this thing so far also has been already proving very, very handy. I haven't set up everything yet, so I think we're gonna talk about more once I get really going with some of these things, but maybe I can give you a quick glimpse at my first week so far. I don't think there's anything super personal on here, but the way I'm using it is I use the top as a social media planner, like Instagram in particular, and then on this vertical section I keep the left-hand side column for date-specific things, for things for appointments, and then the right-hand side I just write a quick overview of the day. We have a tracker here, and then for these 4 columns, this is my weekly to-do list, where I have just sectioned it out by the kinds of where the to-dos are coming from. Why am I having such a hard time explaining this? So we have Cat Collage Club, my printables in one, then home things in one, YouTube and social media in one, and then the comic that I'm working on in the other. And then this planner is so cool because it has 6 empty pages between each week. And I just use these for running to-do lists and date-specific to-do lists. And yeah, so far that's been working out great. And then, oh yeah, here I did a vision board. I haven't set up any of the quarter goals and the other trackers yet. So yeah, we'll maybe talk more about this in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I like the size. It's a chunky, chunky book. On the back, I put a Midori pen clip, and I really like the design of this. It's nice and springy, so I would assume that this works great for chunkier pens as well. But because this is a somewhat of a soft cover, I'm not quite sure I'm a big fan of this, which is not the fault of the planner. You're putting a very heavy pen on not so sturdy cardstock. So I'll see about that, even though I do like generally the idea of having one pen that is dedicated to this, because of just quick notes and in-the-moment notes, which is something that I want to get better at this year, of writing things down right away so that I don't overwhelm my brain so much in the moment. But yeah, we'll see about that. But yeah, I think that is it. So again, there's certain things I'm still gonna see how they turn out, which is the B6 scribble notebook. What's gonna happen with my TN setup, I don't know, but we're just running with it, right? All we can do is go in this with our good intentions, and then I think it's just wise or fun to change things when they also just naturally develop. Like, this wasn't planned, but this is just already bringing me so much joy, and I think it would be silly if I didn't respond to that and let myself enjoy this in the form that it takes. And so yeah, can't say that any of this won't change within the year, and we're just gonna talk about it, and I'll share as much as I can with you this coming year, which I'm very excited about. So yeah, if you're new around here, happy to have you subscribe, and we'll stay in touch and talk about stationery, inks, journaling, drawing, maybe some storytelling stuff, my comics. I am very excited to share more about that if you're interested. So yeah, lots of things going on. I hope you are already enjoying your notebooks. Let me know, what are you most excited about hearing more of in the coming year? And other than that, thank you so much for sharing this time with me. And until next time, happy journaling!